Carson, it seems like in your 4 games since you've been back, you've gotten more comfortable and better in each game. Does it feel that way for you?
Obviously, the outcome might look that way based on statistical, performances or anything like that. But like I've been saying, I felt good when I came back. I felt good within the offense. I think it's really just a culmination of just us finally settling in collectively as a unit, finding really who we are, and just like we've talked a lot about, just finally eliminating a lot of the small detail mistakes that we'd been making. And it was good to put one together the other night.
Carson, after the Giants game, Zach Ertz says, we're the Philadelphia Eagles again, the way you guys played. Does a performance like that give you confidence, even though you know you can do it, but to actually execute it, third down, not have all those penalties and execute it, does it kind of give you guys confidence going forward here?
Yeah, anytime you can play a game like that against an NFC East opponent like that on the road, on Thursday Night Football, that gives you confidence. Every time we go out there and we put up a performance like that, we're just one step closer to being who we are and knowing who we are. And so, it definitely gives us confidence going forward.
Carson, you had Torrey Smith last year. You were supposed to have Mike Wells this year. Where does that vertical element going to come from now?
Yeah, we got a handful of guys. I think you've seen it from Nelson. Obviously, Alshon's always a guy that can make big plays down the field. J-Matt even last week, I thought we almost had that big one in the end zone. And so Sheldon Gibson, when he comes in, I think he gives us a spark. And so I'm not too concerned about that. I think we have lots of guys that have the ability to take the top off the defense, so to speak, to stretch it out. And I like where we're at with that.
That spot in the offense opposite of Alshon, is that designed for that deep ball, for the vertical element?
We design things and scheme things up a little differently every week, based on coverages, tendencies, and everything that teams play. So it's hard to just put it into, that's our deep threat guy. We're doing it all over the field. So it's hard to just put it in a box like that.
Carson, you're saying that you trust the guys in the locker room to handle, say, for instance, taking the top off the defense, but we saw last year how Jay coming in and kind of gave the team a little spark on the ground. How do you balance trusting the guys that you have, but also maybe wanted to bring in someone to help the team?
Yeah, I know, first of all, that's not my job. I know my job is to focus on the guys we have, the guys in the locker room, and to do my best to get everyone involved. So outside all of that, I don't look into that. I feel extremely confident with who we have. I love those guys. We're all going to battle every day with each other, for each other. So I love this team and where we're at.
Speaking of Alshon, you've been back for 4 weeks now. He's been back for 3 weeks. Do you guys feel like, you're back in sync like you were last year and when you guys start off really well?
Yeah, I thought, even the first game back, when he was out there, I thought we were clicking. Obviously, we missed things here and there, and those are things that are always going to be there. Sometimes you take a chance more often with a guy like that and just give him a chance to make a play. And so, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. But, I felt great with Alshon. Even through the offseason, we both weren't out there, but we were communicating all the time about coverages and what we like going forward. So I feel like we're in a good spot with our relationship.
Carson, the situational success was back against the Giants. Do you attribute that to just not putting yourself in bad positions with the self-inflicted stuff?
I think that's a big part of it. I think, staying ahead of the chains early is a big part of it, and just executing. Those early weeks, it's hard to put your finger on one reason why we weren't staying on the field, but, obviously there's been a lot of talk about that's what we were good at last year, and it was good to see us kind of go out there and execute on those situational downs this last week.
You're throwing the ball a lot out of 12 and 13 personnel, Carson, and you're throwing it well. What's been the key? Matchups?
Yeah, it's a big matchup thing. Anytime you get 2-3 tight ends on the field, we feel in that tight end room we have matchup problems with really all three of those guys. And so anytime we can get them involved, they do a great job in the run game, and we put a lot on their plate. A lot on their plate, both physically and mentally, with checks and different things that we ask them to do. So those three are really smart guys, and they do a great job making plays for us.
You guys went against this defense last year. Is there anything that you see that's similar or different in their scheme, personnel, and what are the challenges?
They're very similar. Obviously, scheme and personnel, it's very similar. They're fast. They're a fast defense. Two of the best linebackers, really the three linebacker core that they have, talented. They got Thomas Davis back last week. He's all over the field, and everyone knows the matchup problems that Kuechly brings and what he does. So it's a fast defense. It's a big physical front. So we got a lot of respect for those guys and got our work cut out Sunday.
You guys had that sequence last week where you threw the screen to Corey and then went tempo to keep him in nickel. When that happens, do you know, going into the screen, we're going to push it after this? Are you communicating with Doug in between? How does that process
Yeah,
go?
I mean, that's something, Coach and I talk about a lot, and Coach really just kind of goes with his gut instinct on when to push the tempo. Obviously, you see it a lot when we do have a big play and we feel like we got a little momentum, so let's use that and build off of it. Sometimes it's, the personnel they have on the field. You want to keep that personnel on the field because you like your matchups, like you said. So it's really just kind of how Coach feels and what they're giving us.
Carson, what do you guys need to do, even you specifically, this week and going forward to ensure that you guys can play the ability and play the success you guys had against the Giants? What are some things you're working on? What are some things you want to even do better to make sure this thing stays?
Yeah, I mean, I think, something we talked about a lot last week was just being accountable, to avoid those little mistakes, some of those little costly mistakes we kept making, keep everybody accountable, keep everyone on the same page. And really there's nothing, eye-opening that we need to do or anything crazy. We just got to keep playing our game and execute.
Carson, you had said a few months back that you had your throwing guy, Adam Dato, I assume, come in during the offseason to make sure your mechanics were still okay as you were recovering from the knee. What were some of the specific things that you guys were looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is anytime you're coming off of a surgery, you just want to make sure nothing's changed. You want to make sure everything's mechanically sound and you look the same. And I thought it was successful when he came up here.
Carson, you've done a really good job of getting the running backs involved in the passing game as of late. What do you like about Wendell and Corey as receivers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing we talked about with the tight ends. They just bring matchup problems. You get a linebacker on a guy like Smallwood or Corey, that's a tough matchup. Not only are they kind of slashers as running backs, but get them in space, get them the ball down the field. It just makes it tough on linebackers trying to cover them. So Coach always does a great job scheming things up to get them the ball in space.
Seems like you guys were acting and playing like your old selves last week. What role did Doug play in kind of reminding you guys who you were and getting you back to that point?
Yeah, Coach does a great job reminding us, who we are, like you said, and just really, motivating us. And I think as players, when you face adversity, you face a loss, things like that, we're hungry. That's a locker room of hungry guys, and so when guys make mistakes, they're not happy about it. They're not guys that hang their heads. We're guys that are looking forward to improve off of that mistake and learn from it. So I think really Coach, all the coaches, and then the leaders on this team did a great job last week on a short week of just reminding everybody who we are and just playing fast, playing our football.
Carson, you guys overcame a lot of injuries last year, obviously, to win the Super Bowl and stuff. Do you find it's more difficult this year just because, it seems like they're concentrated in certain positions, like wide receiver, obviously losing Jay, what's going on with the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, injuries are tough. It's tough every year. You face it year in, year out. We saw it last year, like you said, and when the injury bug bites you, there's nothing you can do about it. It's part of the game, and so we don't worry about it. We feel terrible for the guys that deal with it, and always praying for those guys to recover. But at the same time, we got to just keep plugging forward, and that kind of mindset that we've had really every year. Last year it really came to the forefront and was evident, and so that just carries on with who we are and with our identity and our culture around here.
Hey, Carson, last year's victory was a statement victory against Carolina, and not that 2 years are tied together, but how much are you looking at this upcoming game as a litmus test?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's the next game, and sitting at 3-3, not fully where we want to be, but we did definitely have a long season ahead of us, and this is a good team coming in. Last year was a short week. There was lots of different circumstances. This year, a little different just in the sense of that, but we're always excited to get a good team like that coming into our house for a Sunday afternoon game.
I know you follow. I'm sorry. I know you've moved on from last week's game, but a quick follow-up on that first touchdown. Doug said he did not know if you saw the flag on Ertz there, and that's why you took the chance. Was that the case? Did you see that, or just like?
No, you can't. It's hard to see flags when you're running around trying to see everybody else going on.
So that was just a situation where you saw Alshon.
Yeah, saw Alshon, trusted him to make a play, and he made it.
You had 4 rushing first downs in your
4 starts, Carson. Are you kind of back to where you were as far as any reluctance gone to when you need a first down to go get it?
Yeah, I mean, I felt great coming back with my knee and where I'm at with all of that. Again, it's something we talked about over and over in the offseason, just learning to protect myself, slide, all that stuff. And I feel like that's been fairly successful. And, yeah, I'm always looking to make plays with my arm first, but when I need to, I feel good making it with my legs. Thanks, guys.